3 years after I was brought back home, I jumped off a building. As my soul hovered above the scene, I waited to see if my ever-critical parents and brother would finally regret their coldness, if they would weep for me. But my father merely shook his head, calling me childish. My mother sighed in relief, as though a burden had been lifted from her shoulders. My brother shielded his precious adopted daughter from the sight of my broken body, yet the girl cried in fear. And that was what made them all rush to comfort her. Not me. Never me. I floated there for a long time, stunned. Then, with a bitter smile, I closed my eyes. When I opened them again, I was back to the moment I had just been brought home, my past erased, my fate reset. My parents, their eyes brimming with tears, spoke of the years they had spent missing me, the guilt they carried for those 10 lost years. I was so moved that I sobbed, throwing myself into their embrace, foolishly believing I had finally found a family that truly loved me. But 3 years later, in a desperate moment of madness, I had still jumped, hoping, praying that my death would be enough to make them love me, even if only in regret. They never did. Now, in this new beginning, I felt nothing. I was empty, hollow, a wooden puppet incapable of feeling. My dear, are you still not used to it? No worries, let's go choose a room for you. You can pick any you like, my mother said, pulling me toward the 3rd floor. My father followed, smiling, calling my brother Jack to come home quickly. Jack's reply was short. Busy. My father frowned, displeased. My mother gave an embarrassed smile as she explained. Your brother is very busy. He handles most of the company's affairs and can only come home on weekends. In my past life I had believed her. In this life it didn't matter. Upon reaching the 3rd floor, I saw the bright, warmly decorated rooms. Go ahead, Ivy. Choose any room you like, my father said. My gaze landed on the room closest to the staircase. Inside, a fluffy panda sat on the bed, its soft black and white form beckoning to me. In my past life, I had been drawn to that panda, thinking it was a symbol of my parents' love for me. I had chosen that room without hesitation. But in that moment, my parents' expressions had changed ever so slightly. They quickly masked it with a smile. Oh, Ivy, we forgot to tell you. This is your sister Nina's room, my mother said. Nina is so considerate. She cleared out her own room for you. She said you should have the best. Back then I had been touched, grateful. I had thought, my sister is so kind. I had still chosen that room. Now I watched as my parents exchanged glances again. Their hesitation, their reluctance. Yet before they could speak, I had already stepped inside, hugging the panda. Just then, Nina returned home, backpack slung over one shoulder. She was the same age as me, 15, but so much more mature. Not naive, not innocent. Seeing me in her room, she pursed her lips and forced a dimpled smile. I heard my big sister was coming home, so I took leave and rushed back. Do you like this room? Then you can have it, she said softly, turning her face away as if struggling with her emotions. My parents watched her closely, their eyes filled with concern for her. Ivy, pick another room, my mother urged. This one is too big for you. You won't feel comfortable. I had hesitated back then, confused. But how could I have understood? My parents had cried for me. They had missed me. Nina had given up her room. Clearly, I was their beloved daughter. So why was it wrong for me to stay? My mother's face had stiffened. My father had gone silent. And then Nina had started making the bed. Sister, just stay here, she said gently. This home is originally yours. Feel free to stay anywhere you like. That night my brother came home and dragged me out. He was furious. Have you no manners? This is Nina's room. How could you just take over like that? I had been stunned. Not just because this was the first time I was meeting my brother, but because I genuinely didn't understand. How had I taken over anything? I had been given a choice, hadn't I? Scared, I had called for Mom and Dad. They had hurried over, but Jack had confronted them first. Mom, Dad, how could you arrange this? This is Nina's room. Are you really going to be so unfair to her? My parents had looked troubled. And in my mother's eyes I had caught something, a flicker of annoyance. That look. I knew that look. My foster father had once looked at me like that. I was an intruder. A pigeon that had perched on a wire year after year, only to finally leap to its death from the rooftop, foolishly believing it had wings. But in this life I would not be foolish. I smiled faintly, pointing to the smallest room at the back. I want that one. My parents were taken aback, but relief quickly softened their faces. They pretended to scold me. That's the storeroom. Why would you choose that? I'm used to small rooms. They make me feel safe, I said, my voice laced with self-mockery. They sighed and then, so casually, they agreed. Their long-lost daughter had returned after 10 years, and they were fine with her living in a storeroom. Nina reappeared, acting surprised. "Sister, why are you moving into the storeroom?" she asked, as if she didn't know. I glanced at her. She thought I didn't realize she had deliberately placed that panda in her room. She thought I didn't know I had walked right into her trap. 3 years. 3 years of competing with me, of winning decisively. I had lost my place, my family, my life. But now I had learned my lesson. The best way to receive love was to love myself. Closed the storeroom door. Nina knocked lightly. "Sister, I brought you a panda. You'll love it." "I don't like plush toys," I replied flatly. She sighed. "Does sister dislike me? I am the one who took your place after all." Script. Words meant for our parents to hear. And right on cue, my mother rushed to comfort her. "Your sister is probably just tired. Don't think too much," my father added. "Nina, don't worry. No one has taken anything from anyone. But someone had." I took out the red envelopes. Money from my loving family. Over 100,000. I would save it. I would need it. I walked to the bank alone. And there I saw him. My brother. He recognized me immediately. "Ivy," he said coldly. He nodded. The bank manager, eager to please, asked, "What relation is this young lady to Mr. Jack?" Jack frowned. "None of your business." Then he turned to me. "Depositing money. Your red envelopes. I thought you'd give them to Mom and Dad like Nina always does." I said nothing. He sneered. "So greedy already. Just don't reach for the family's money." I smiled faintly. I wouldn't argue. I wouldn't care. I would just save my money. And I would never, ever love them again. Jack snorted coldly and walked away. That evening my parents and Nina were all gathered around, helping me choose a school. The catalog in front of me was full of prestigious private schools, all carefully selected for me. But I had already made my choice. I don't want to go to a prestigious school. I want to attend City No. 1 High School, a public school. The room fell silent for a moment before my parents exchanged surprised glances. Nina, however, barely concealed her joy as she chimed in. "Sis, we don't need to go to an ordinary high school. We don't even need to take the college entrance exam. We're supposed to study abroad in the future." "Yeah, Sonny, why don't you join your sister at Sunflower Academy? We'll arrange your future for you," my mother added, patting the back of my hand reassuringly. My father's gaze flickered, considering something. I knew exactly what it was. In my previous life I had enrolled in Sunflower Academy, where I became instantly infamous. Not because I was dazzling, but because I didn't belong. A country girl among the wealthiest elites of City, I stuck out like a sore thumb. When the news broke that I was the lost daughter of the Liu family, it only made things worse. I was mocked, ridiculed, and treated like an anomaly. And Nina. She made sure I suffered. Not just through cruel words but through orchestrated humiliation. I remembered the boy she sent to pursue me. His sweet words that felt like salvation, only for him to publicly release our recorded conversations and videos, making me a laughingstock. The scandal disgraced the James family, and my father in his rage had slapped me to the ground. "I knew this would happen when I let you attend a prestigious school," he had spat. His face twisted in fury. "You've disgraced our family. He had always cared about face more than anything. And now, as he deliberated, I knew that was all he was considering. Nina could uphold the family's honor. But what about me? I only like public schools. Please let me go to City number 1 high school, I stated firmly. My mother was still trying to persuade me, but my father cut in. All right, let the child choose for herself. Since we love her, we shouldn't force her. I almost laughed out loud. But I held it in, the unspoken laughter turning into something heavier in my chest, something closer to desolation. 2 weeks into high school, I brought up the idea of boarding. The dining table fell into stunned silence. Jack, who rarely came home these days, frowned at me. Boarding. Sonny, why do I feel like you're not close to us at all? You've been back for over a month now and still haven't adjusted. How could I? I had lived in this house for 3 years in my past life and never once felt like I belonged. Boarding is convenient for studying, I said calmly, giving the most logical reason. Jack narrowed his eyes but said nothing. My mother, however, held my hand, her voice laced with concern. Sonny, are you troubled by something? Mom feels like we just don't get along. I don't. So why force it? I'm just doing this to study better, I explained again. Nina's eyes turned red beside me, as if on cue. Sis, you must hate me, right? If you really don't want to see me, I'll go to the dorm instead. I won't appear in front of you anymore. With that, she started packing her things dramatically. Chuckled. Nina, you're so impatient. For weeks, she had been picking fights, trying to provoke me, twisting situations to make me look bad. But I never responded, not the way she wanted. My calmness frustrated her. And now, she seized the opportunity to retreat as if she were the victim. Mom, Dad, and Jack all saw through her act, yet none of them cared. Jack sighed, setting down his chopsticks. Nina, why would you move to the dorm? Sit down. Nina sniffled and obediently sat back down. Seizing the moment, my father nodded. Since Sonny wants to stay at the dorm, let her. It's not a big deal. No, it wasn't a big deal. Not for them. After all, in my past life I had been forced to move out. Back then, Nina had provoked me into a fight. We fell down the stairs. She ended up with a head wound and I, stupidly, thought I had won. But when our family arrived, I realized I had lost completely. My mother held Nina in her arms, crying. My father was livid. Sonny, what are you doing? Have you lost your mind? Jack was there too. Without a second thought, he kicked me. Do you think this is the countryside? Who allowed you to fight like a street dog? Apologize to Nina. I had apologized, terrified, while Nina tearfully packed her bags, saying she couldn't live under the same roof as me. The family, tender-hearted, begged her to stay. I stood in the background watching, dazed, as Jack sneered at me. This home only has space for Nina. That was when I understood. My parents' hesitation when they looked at me. It was because they were waiting for me to leave on my own. I had moved out then. I would move out now. Only this time it was on my terms. I rented a small apartment near the school. The nanny who helped me settle in looked at me, puzzled. Miss, are they okay with you living here alone? Why don't they come? Of course they wouldn't come. They were busy pampering Nina. Seeing my silence, the nanny awkwardly tried to comfort me. Maybe they're just busy. They'll come see you once they're free. They never did. My mother called once. Sonny, have you settled in? It really worries me that you're living on your own. I told her I had. She sighed a few times, but that was all. Without genuine affection, what was there to talk about? After we hung up, I looked around my small space and, for the first time in a long while, smiled. I was finally free. Life was simple, studying, eating, sleeping. No family drama. I didn't hear from them for over a month. It was as if I didn't exist. Then, one evening I ran into Nina. She was riding a motorcycle, a gang of boys trailing behind her. She pulled up in front of me with a smirk. Long time no see, Sonny. I hummed in response. She tilted her head, scrutinizing me. Haven't our parents called you at all? He nodded. She laughed. Do you want to know why? I shook my head. She told me anyway. Every time they tried, I would start crying and they had to take care of me. And honestly, they resent you. She was testing me, waiting to see if I was naive or if I had willingly stepped aside. I just smiled. Aren't you tired, Nina? I adjusted my bag and walked away, leaving her there. She could have them. I didn't need them anymore. During the summer vacation, I refused to fall behind in my studies. Determined to prepare for the college entrance exam, I hired a tutor, dedicating every moment to my books. My days blurred together in a cycle of studying, exhaustion, and brief moments of distraction. When tired, I would check my phone, scrolling through social media mindlessly. Occasionally, I saw updates from my family. My mother's posts, filled with pictures of them together. One of her and my father smiling, another of my brother's back, and the rest were all of Nina. Nina surfing. Nina in a helicopter. Nina on a jet ski. Nina on a yacht, effortlessly beautiful, effortlessly loved. And then there was me, buried in textbooks, wrapped in an old school uniform, unseen and forgotten. But I wasn't jealous. Not like before. I didn't pick up the phone and call, desperately asking if they had forgotten about me. Instead, I left a like on the post, a quiet gesture of acknowledgement, as if I truly wished them happiness and health. When school resumed, I continued my studies with quiet diligence. My grades improved, and I steadily climbed into the top 10 of my class. Suddenly, people noticed me. A boy even sent me a love letter. He praised my intelligence and mentioned my fair skin, calling me pretty. Pretty. Me. The word felt foreign on my tongue. I turned to my deskmate, asking hesitantly, "Do you think I'm fair?" She rolled her eyes. "Stop showing off. We all know you're fair." Her words lingered in my mind, and I borrowed her compact mirror. For the first time in what felt like forever, I truly looked at myself. I wasn't dark and frail anymore. My features had sharpened, and my skin was fair. Had I become more attractive simply by learning to love myself? The thought made my chest tighten, my eyes sting with an unfamiliar emotion. Holy crap, did you just cry because you realized how beautiful you are? My deskmate teased, half laughing, half shocked. I quickly wiped my eyes. My appearance had changed, but that wasn't my focus. Had grown. I was no longer a girl begging for love. I was someone striving for independence. The thought fueled me, especially as I neared my senior year of high school. I envisioned myself as a strong, self-sufficient woman, a person of influence. How laughable my past self had been. 3 years wasted chasing love from a family that never wanted me. Then my 18th birthday arrived. That morning my phone rang. My mother's name flashed on the screen, the first call in 6 months. The last had been on New Year's Eve, asking me to come home for dinner. I hadn't gone. I had made dumplings alone in my apartment instead. I answered, and her voice, warm and full of laughter, filled the line. "My dear girl, it's been so long. I didn't want to disturb your studies, so I refrained from calling." I hummed in acknowledgement, waiting for the real reason behind her call. She got to the point quickly. "We're sending Nina abroad for her studies. What do you think? Would you like to go too?" For a moment, I was transported back to that sunset, that blood-stained day when I had asked the same question. Back then I had said yes, desperate not to be left behind, desperate to be included. I had convinced myself I was their daughter, their treasure. But I had known, deep down, that my mother's question was just a formality. She had no intention of sending me abroad. Just like before, she was offering me something that was never truly mine. "I don't want to," I answered firmly. "I have to attend class. I'm hanging up." "Oh, sweetheart, you really don't want to trouble us, do you?" she pleaded. "Mommy loves you and just wants what's best." I ended the call before she could finish. After Nina left for her studies, I threw myself into my own future. For privileged children, the college entrance exam was a trivial obstacle, something they could bypass if they wished. But for me it was everything. My chance at a new life, a fresh start. I studied relentlessly, pushing myself beyond limits. When the final exam ended, I stepped out of the hall. The weight of years of struggle, loneliness, and silent perseverance came crashing down on me. And for the first time in so long, I let myself feel it. Tears streamed down my face, hot and unstoppable. My deskmate sighed, rolling his eyes. "Seriously? You're crying now?" I wiped my tears and smiled. For the first time, they weren't tears of despair. They were tears of liberation. I returned to my apartment, shutting the door behind me with a quiet sigh. As I stepped inside, my eyes fell on the full-length mirror, a recent addition to my life. Before, I never felt the need to look at my reflection. I didn't even own a small makeup mirror. But now, I found myself standing before it, gazing at the person looking back at me. It wasn't about being prettier or fairer. It was about acknowledging that, in this life, I had carved out something for myself. Something real. Something tangible. I wasn't just drifting anymore. There was still some money in my bank account, so I decided to reward myself with a trip to see the ocean. For the first time in 3 years, I traveled far. Standing by the vast waters, I took 2 photos, one of the endless blue waves and another of myself, smiling for the first time in what felt like forever. Without overthinking, I posted them on social media with nothing but a grinning emoji. My mother was the first to react. Her shock was evident. "Sonny, is this you?" "Yes," I replied. "Really? You've changed so much." So much that even my own mother couldn't recognize me. My father didn't like the post, but he sent me a message instead. "Where are you?" "I went to see the ocean." There was a pause before his reply came, laced with frustration. "I used to ask you to go see the ocean, and you wouldn't. Now you go alone. It's not safe." I didn't respond. Later, my brother Jack liked the post and left a comment. "Standing tall and elegant, truly the genes of our James family." I ignored it. Before my college entrance exam results were even announced, I had already started working. My mother only found out by asking my teachers, and when she did, she scolded me over the phone. "Dear, why do you always run off without telling us? What if something happened and we didn't know? Come back home. You don't need to work." "I just thought earning some tuition money wouldn't hurt," I answered calmly. My mother laughed, but it was a laugh of frustration. "Is our family really short on tuition money?" Course we were. During my 3 years in high school, I had never asked them for a single cent, nor had they offered any. The red packets I received when I visited home had sustained me all this time. Realization dawned on her belatedly. "Your dad didn't give you any living expenses." "No. And your brother?" "He didn't either." She fell silent. I ended the call. I had work to do. When the results were finally released, my school celebrated my success. I had been admitted to Beijing University as the top scholar in the city. My teacher cried with joy, calling me a genius. But my smile faded when my parents arrived. They had been invited for a photo with me. My mother beamed with pride. My father shook hands with officials, basking in the prestige of my achievement. I turned away, unwilling to pose with them. As I walked out of the school gates, a sports car pulled up. Jack stepped out. Eyes met. "Didn't Mom and Dad say they were coming to find you? Where are you heading alone?" "I'm hungry," I replied simply and walked towards a small diner nearby. I ordered mapo tofu and stir-fried pork with green peppers. My favorite dishes, though I usually only allowed myself one at a time. Today I indulged in both. Jack followed me inside and recoiled at the strong aroma, coughing and covering his nose. "This is what you're eating?" he asked incredulously. He nodded. "It's delicious." Jack sighed. "Na's living much better than you. She spends over 200,000 a month abroad, partying every day." I said nothing and continued eating. Seeing that I wouldn't respond, Jack pulled out a card and slid it toward me. "You were the top student in the city. That's truly remarkable. As your brother, let me reward you. 100,000 for your university expenses." He was generous. Half of what Na spent in a month. I didn't take it. Jack left the card on the table, looking at me for a long moment before walking away. I took the card home and left it in the living room. Then I packed my last bags. It was time to head north, to the capital where the sky was high and the sea stretched endlessly before me. Just as I was leaving, my parents arrived home. They barely contained their anger. "Sonny, why didn't you stay for a photo with us? The school leaders were looking for you. Don't we deserve some respect?" "I didn't know there was a photo session," I replied and turned to leave. My father took a deep breath, glaring at me. My mother, on the other hand, grabbed my hand, her eyes wet with emotion. "Sonny, do you hate us? It's been 3 years and you've never smiled at us. Now that you've made it into Beijing University, you don't share your happiness with your own parents." I looked at her blankly, as if she were a stranger. Memories surfaced, fleeting, fragile, before settling into still water. Not a ripple in sight. "You're mistaken," I said coolly. "I'm just not naturally inclined to smile." "Ridiculous." My father's fury erupted. "From the day you came home, you've never been invested in us. We waited 10 years to have you back, hoping to get closer to you. Instead, you always act cold. You don't get along with Na either. Do we owe you that much?" "Yes," I said, my voice steady. "You do owe me." Ripple. Small at first, then growing, spreading, until a wave crashed against the still waters inside me. I looked at them, at my furious father, my sorrowful mother. "If on the day I came home I had chosen Na's room, would you have agreed?" "Of course, you can live wherever you want." "Then call Na now and tell her I want her room." They stiffened. "It's the middle of the night in the US. She might be asleep." Convenient excuse. I chuckled, picked up my luggage and waved. "Goodbye." No one stopped me. Years later, as I stood at the top of my field, my family finally took notice. My father fell ill, my mother reached out more often, and Jack started keeping track of my achievements. They called me the pride of the James family. I never replied. The day I returned home, my mother led me upstairs excitedly. She showed me a grand, newly renovated room. "Dear, look. Everything's changed. Do you like it?" I glanced around, unimpressed. Then I asked, "And Na?" Her smile faltered. Her expression darkened. "Why would she stay? She's not my real daughter. Does she deserve it?" My mother's words caught me off guard, but my mind was elsewhere. I gave a vague response, saying I was just passing through and would be leaving soon. But she gripped my hand tightly, anxiety written all over her face. "Why are you in such a rush? You haven't even seen your father yet. He wasn't just sick, he was attacked." I raised an eyebrow, unimpressed. "Who would dare to hit him?" "Nina." My mother spat through clenched teeth. "That beast, along with our competitors, tried to steal confidential documents. Your father caught her in the act, and she shamelessly attacked him right then and there. Stabbed him in the shoulder with a fruit knife. That was extreme." I almost laughed but kept my expression neutral. "Did you call the police?" My mother shook her head. "We wanted to handle it ourselves. As for Nina, we've disowned her." "Is that so? Then handle it." It was getting late, so I prepared to leave. My mother followed me outside, pleading with me to stay for dinner. She insisted my father would be home soon, and sure enough, as she spoke, he and Jack arrived. My father looked pale, wrapped in bandages, while Jack's expression was dark with fury. But the moment they saw me, their faces softened, forcing smiles. "Sonny, you're back," my father said. "I wasn't supposed to be discharged yet, but I left early to see you." I nodded slightly but said nothing. Jack reached out and shook my hand, his grip firm. "Miss Sonny, you're quite the celebrity at Peking University. A limitless future ahead of you. Welcome home." He thought he was being humorous. I felt dazed, this cold and arrogant Jack acting so different. It was a side of him I had never seen before. My silence seemed to make him uneasy, and my mother quickly stepped in to lighten the mood. "It's rare for us to all be together. "Come inside, let's have dinner." They surrounded me as we walked toward the house, but I checked the time and shook my head. "No. I'm afraid I'll miss the sunset." And just like that I left. After seeing the sea, I returned to Peking University, where I was now a senior. I had started a business with a few friends, a journey that was far from easy but deeply meaningful. By my second year of graduate school, our venture finally thrived, and I earned my first significant sum of 800,000. Life became a blur of balancing academics and business, leaving me too exhausted to pay attention to messages from home. After completing my master's degree, I co-founded a company with some old friends. We built a solid reputation, not nearly as wealthy as my affluent parents, but the independence was far more rewarding. Then one day Nina appeared. She didn't come to talk. Her greeting was a slap aimed straight at my face. Fortunately, I reacted in time and blocked it. Without hesitation, I slapped her back. She wasn't as quick and took the hit, stumbling as blood trickled from the corner of her mouth. Spitting onto the pavement, she glared at me. "My whole family has disowned me. Are you happy now?" I took out a tissue, wiped my hands, and remained silent. Her voice trembled with rage. "You've won, Sonny. I never imagined that distancing yourself from the family was a calculated move. A cruel tactic of advancing by retreating." I raised an eyebrow, exhaling sharply. "Have you been watching too many gangster movies? Is it so hard to believe that I left simply for my own sake?" "You're lying," Nina shouted. "My parents abandoned me, my brother hit me in public. All because of you. They love you now, not me." I shook my head and pulled out my phone. Tense. "What are you doing?" "Calling the police." Nina was taken away. After giving my statement, I dialed my mother. The moment she picked up, her voice wavered with emotion. "Sonny, you finally called." I could hear the tears in her voice. "It's been years since you came home. How have you been? I heard you started a company. Are you tired?" Cut her off. "You should pick up your daughter. She's at the area police station." "What?" I briefly explained and was about to hang up, but she broke down sobbing. "Sonny, you are my daughter." We drove Nina away. "I don't want her back. I want you. Can you come home?" Closed my eyes. "No. I'm too busy. Sorry." Years passed. I was named one of the top 10 outstanding young entrepreneurs in the capital. As the year drew to a close, I stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows of my CEO office, sipping red wine and admiring the city's dazzling nightscape. I had turned 30. It had taken 15 years to get from 15 to 30. The journey had not been easy. Jumping off a building would have taken just 3 seconds. But climbing from the depths of despair to becoming a powerful businesswoman, that required 12 extra years. I was grateful I had walked those years. In those years, much had changed. My parents' once dominant company went bankrupt. When the tree falls, the monkeys scatter. They struggled, so much so that they even mortgaged their villa. Nina fell further. She turned to crime, desperate for money, and ended up causing someone's death. She was sentenced to 20 years. As for Jack, he moved to the capital in a last-ditch effort to make a comeback, using his remaining funds to start a new company. But it was failing. Now he was outside my office, waiting. Morning had turned to night, yet he remained. My secretary knocked gently. "Ms. Liu, that gentleman still refuses to leave." I set down my glass, slipped on my heels and walked out. Jack stood up immediately. He had aged terribly. His once dashing appearance now weary and defeated. His smile was forced, his eyes hollow. He no longer called me Sonny. He addressed me formally. "Ms. Liu." I instructed my secretary to bring him water and sat down. "I've reviewed your proposal, Mr. Jack," I said with a polite smile. "I'm sorry, but it doesn't meet my expectations." Jack forced a laugh, but his cracked lips trembled. "Understood. It's late. I should go." He followed me out, then suddenly said, "Sister, Mom and Dad miss you. Can't you visit them? They talk about you every day." Pause. Jack's voice cracked. You've become so distant. We're still family. Can't you not be so heartless? I turned to him. Memories of the past flooded my mind. How he had thrown me out of Nina's room, humiliated me mercilessly at 15. I had never begged him not to be heartless. So now he had no right to ask me for mercy. Jack's shoulders slumped in despair as I walked away, humming softly under the lazy night sky, stepping forward into a future where I no longer needed anyone's love, because I had finally learned to love myself. If you like this story, hit the like button and subscribe for more stories like these only at StoryTimes.